Hey friends, Ash here. Welcome back to Gent Sense. Hope that you're doing well. Today's video is for those of you out there who have a sweet tooth, because every fragrance that I share with you today is on the sweet side of things, and some are way on the sweet side. But if we're honest with each other, sweet fragrances are in. They're hot. They're what's happening right now. For good reason too, because they last a long time, they typically pull compliments very well, and who doesn't love a cozy, sexy, sweet fragrance that makes you get a little bit of that diabetes? I know I do. Excuse me while I take a sip of my not at all sweet energy drink. 46 grams of sugar. That's not much, is it? Every fragrance that I talk to you guys about here today is gonna be linked in the description. Let's get started with the most wanted. Really simple note breakdown with this one: cardamom and toffee, along with a little bit of amberwood. Toffee is gonna be the main thing that you pick up from this. Really good staying power, projects extremely well, so it's gonna get you noticed. The thing with this one is it's really, really popular, which means at discounters, it's typically sold out and or going for just a little bit less than full retail. But on occasion, when it's in stock at Fragrance Buy or the pricing aligns at JOMASHOP, you can pick this up for around 90 bucks, sometimes a little bit less. Absolutely fantastic for both daytime and evening use during fall and winter time. And while it is quite sweet, again, a good amount of toffee in there, to me, it's not overly sweet. It dials things in very well, and this one is one of the best sweet fragrances on the market today if we're talking about that more typical, warm, cool weather type of scent profile. This is one of the best ones that you can get right now in terms of bang for buck, in terms of performance, in terms of compliment factor, just the whole deal. Also, the most wanted parfum would be a really good choice. That one gonna be slightly more expensive, and that has a red ginger in there, good amount of vanilla, and also like a waft of smoke as well. Really good. After that, the only clone out of the whole 15, it's Harmony Code Absolute. This one is from Fragrance World. When I say I had to, it's because if Code Absolute still existed, it would be in this list, not this. But guess what? It doesn't. Thanks, Armani. Really appreciate you discontinuing my favorite Armani code ever. Code Eau de Parfum, to be fair, would work really well also. But this one, Harmony Code Absolute, is a clone of Code Absolu, and as of this video is the best one that you can get, the best alternative to that one if you don't want to spend that much money to pick up the now discontinued fragrance on eBay or something. It's a great fragrance with sort of a sparkly, sweet, spicy opening. There's apple in here, mandarin orange, bit of nutmeg, a lot of tonka and vanilla as it dries down, along with suede leather as well. Once again, good performance, and with this one, extreme bang for your buck. There's so much stuff to go over. Let's switch things up next with a blue fragrance, Y Eau de Parfum from Yves Saint Laurent. Now, I know this isn't the same type of sweetness as these over here, because these ones are your more typical cool weather, warm, sweet, sexy kind of scent profiles, but Y Eau de Parfum is definitely sweet. This one has apple, sage, and amberwood as it dries down. It is gonna be more of a versatile type scent, something you'd wear in spring, fall, winter, and maybe even summer, as long as you don't go really heavy. It's gonna be much more on the fresh side as compared to these and most of the other ones that we talk about here today. It is a certified monster in terms of just overall compliment factor, which is why it is one of the best-selling men's fragrances in the world. But if you're looking for a blue scent, a very versatile scent that still has a lot of sweetness, check this one out if you haven't already. Let's go with 1 Million Elixir up next. This one has a lot of vanilla, which, surprise, surprise, there are a lot of fragrances we're gonna talk about here today that have a lot of vanilla. Once again, there is also tonka in here, but there's also rose, which gives it a little bit of a differentiating factor compared to most of the other fragrances we're gonna talk about. Also has some apple off the top as well. Once again, a monster in terms of performance. So big time longevity, huge projection, easily gets you noticed, easily cuts through the cold. It does have some similarities to other popular fragrances out there, including some we're gonna talk about here later in today's video. Vaguely reminiscent of things like Stronger With You, the Stronger With You line, Invictus Victory Elixir, some other stuff as well. But when you do a side-by-side, they are quite different. It's just that vanilla, that similarity there. This one almost has a little bit of booziness to that vanilla as well, and it's one that gets better with time. Just the more that I wear this, the more I smell it, the more I like it. Valentino Uomo Intense. Valentino Uomo Born in Roma Intense. Valentino Uomo Intense is a completely different thing. So yeah, Uomo Born in Roma Intense is this one. And this is another one with vanilla, but it's done in a different way than say this one is. 1 Million Elixir, a little bit more sticky sweet, whereas Born in Roma Intense, a little bit more versatile overall. Has a vetiver woodiness underneath, bit of lavender as well. So it's got like that clean, fresh aspect, but really amplified with the sweetness. This one smells absolutely stunning in the air, and it's the type of scent that I want to wear pretty much whenever I can. Summer is gonna be where it's most out of place, but I would wear it in summer, just kind of like Eau de Parfum, dial down the sprays a little bit. But if you're looking for something that can pull double duty, daytime or evening, pretty much year round, you gotta check that out. It is my favorite in the Born in Roma line, and a big reason for that is just the reactions that it consistently pulls. Let's talk next about Jean Paul Gaultier's Scandal Absolu. This is one of my favorite releases of the year, and it's another one that's kind of in that stronger with you, the most wanted style a little bit. Now don't get me wrong, you're not gonna confuse this one for that one, right? If you spray these on side by side, you're gonna know which is which. Same with Stronger With You. It's just, it appeals in a similar way. So if you like what those fragrances do, you'll probably like what this one does also. It's got chestnut in there, has Mirabelle plum, also a little bit of sandalwood as it dries down. So this is another one that has that balance of fruity sweetness off the top with a little bit of freshness, and then a really warm, sexy, cozy scent profile as it dries down. Perfect for the evening, perfect for fall and winter time. Another one with great performance, and it doesn't get worn quite as much as Stronger With You or The Most Wanted. So even though it's familiar in some ways, it also will help you stand out a little bit at the same time. Absolutely fantastic. Before we head to the next fragrance, guys, here are some codes you can use to save money across a bunch of different websites. The JOMASHOP codes only work within the app, and there are new codes now, so there's even more of them. So depending on how much you spend, you can save a little bit more depending on the code you use. Then of course, there's also codes for Fragflex, the Perfume Box, Max Aroma, and more. So use those codes and save yourself a little extra money. Let's go next with just straight up Versace Eros, the Eau de Toilette. Now I know there's kind of an Eros for everybody at this point. There's Eros Energy, Eros Flame, the Eau de Parfum, the Parfum, and now the new Najim, which is still very difficult to find in the US. In the future, I'm assuming it'll be easier, but for now. But the one that started it all, the original Eros, if you're talking about a fragrance that has maximum versatility, just year-round usage, that pulls consistent compliments, that has the performance factor, all of that, that's this. And I've said this before, but this actually does make a solid office fragrance. I know some people were like, no, Eros, the original, that's a clubbing scent. That's a night out scent. That's the only time you use it. But the scent profile here works. People love it. And so obviously that's gonna translate to a work environment as long as you don't go crazy heavy. Because yeah, there is sweetness here, obviously. Vanilla, tonka, again. Yeah, those two notes, they get used together a bunch. But there's also woodiness here. There's mint off the top, there's apple. And when you don't go crazy heavy, it actually comes across aromatic instead of overly sweet. Now, if you go heavy, you're gonna get that sweetness. All I'm saying is you can use this in a lot more situations than sometimes it gets credit for, but it still consistently is one of the best people-pleasing fragrances on the market, which again is why it's a bestseller. You know what else is a bestseller? Myself, and this is Le Parfum, or the Le Parfum iteration. So the original Myself, very clean, simple, easy to wear, and also a big people pleaser, which is why it absolutely exploded last year when it was released. Really has that focus on white florals that people just seem to be drawn to no matter where you're wearing it, what you're doing. This one takes that same overall idea, makes it a little bit sweeter and a little bit darker as well. So they're taking that overall idea of the original, they're just rebalancing it a little bit, making it better suited for evening wear and for cool weather. And I'll tell you what, it works. That stuff smells awesome. It still has that kind of clean laundry aspect, a touch of powder, but the amber and the vanilla that's in here really shines, and it's another one that in the air is just magnetic. The next fragrance is West Loop, which is a fragrance that I creatively directed myself. So obviously I am biased, but this is one that I absolutely swear by when it's cold outside. Go heavy with this one and you are gonna get attention. It's another one of those fragrances that in the air just really captures attention, and it smells quite unique too when you put it up against most of the popular fragrances out there nowadays. And while this is extremely sweet, it's not quite as vanilla forward as most everything else that we're talking about here today. Technically, it does have vanilla orchid off the top, it's just not gonna hit you the same way. And along with that note, it also has almond blossom, it has toasted cinnamon, myrrh, tobacco leaf, lavender, tonka, and amberwood. It also has great performance, like you would expect, you know, very good longevity, nice projection. And that one you can actually find in every Perfumania and fragrance outlet store in the US, so you can stop in if you have one nearby and check it out there, or you can find it at Michael Malul's website or Nordstrom.com. After that, let's talk Reflesso from Trussardi. Yeah, a little different one here, a little different vibe. This one actually gets compared to the smell of La Nuit de l'Homme Eau de Toilette. I gotta say which one because they've got like 52 flankers at this point. You are gonna find tonka, once again, along with leather, also apple off the top. You also have a little citrus in here, some violet leaf, some floral notes. It doesn't smell the exact same as La Nuit de l'Homme, you know, that cardamom that you pick up from La Nuit. You don't get quite that same hit in here, but it still does come across in a similar fashion. Very good fragrance for fall and winter evenings, good date night fragrance. And it's kind of a hidden gem because not many people know about this. Even within the fragrance world, fragrance community, not a whole heck of a lot of people are wearing Reflesso. And if we're talking about just your average everyday person, even fewer know about this one. It did used to be a little bit cheaper. It's not expensive now. It's still like 35 bucks or something like that, but it was even less not that long ago. Still yet, at that price point, it's a steal, kind of a hidden gem. From there, we go on to Le Beau Le Parfum. This is one of my more complimented fragrances that I own over the past couple of years, and it's another one that's slightly different. It's not more of a fall, winter, like cozy, heavy type fragrance. It does have some freshness to it, kind of a tropical overall feel, good amount of coconut in here. Also has pineapple, iris, woods, amber, and another note that we've mentioned a few times, tonka. So yeah, it's sweet. It's sweet off the top, it's sweet in the mid, it's sweet as it dries down. Really good performance, nice as a daytime or evening scent, and almost year-round usability. It's another one where because of that sweetness, because of that performance, middle of summer, probably go something else. But this absolutely crushes in pretty much any situation where a sweet fragrance is warranted. Stronger With You Intensely up next from Emporio Armani. Finally made its way to the US where you can find it with regularity. So you can pick this up at retailers now. You can find it at discounters pretty easily. And it's not that expensive at full retail either. Because at full retail, it's like $110 for a 100 ml size bottle. And some discounters, I think, still haven't caught on that you can just buy it at retail for that price point. So they're charging like $115 for the same thing. I'm assuming that as time goes on that's gonna change, right? But this is one that you definitely want to cross shop, check those prices, because if you're looking at a discounter and it says $115, $118 or something like that, you can get it from Macy's for less. So this has vanilla, amber, toffee, and cinnamon in the fragrance. It really helped blow this line up. Just really popular and inspired other fragrances that came after it as well. It's very strong, possibly the strongest in the lineup. So it's gonna last a long time. It's gonna cut through the cold. It's gonna fill up a room if you spray on too much. And for the price point you can get it for, even at full retail, like I said, just an absolute steal. That kind of caramel toffee sexiness that this has really helps it stand out. Gotta go Invictus Victory Elixir up next. One of my favorite vanilla fragrances. There are a lot of vanilla fragrances, obviously, but this is one of my favorites. It's got that fizzy, carbonated kind of opening that, for me, just smells amazing, has a great wow factor. Also a touch of like a tropical edge to it, which could remind you of something like Le Beau Le Parfum. So it's like, not the same, but not that far removed from this, done up in a more vanilla forward way, more specifically for fall and winter time. Also Invictus Victory, very, very, very good. So that one I would include here, but I don't want to just put a bunch of Invictus in here. And also even Invictus Parfum, which to be fair is not as sweet as either Victory or Victory Elixir or a lot of the other Invictus fragrances that came before the Parfum, but that one's done really well. Also has kind of a soapiness, works really well. Spicebomb up next, Infrared Eau de Parfum. This is another one that to me is just sweet, 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 sweet. So it's like sweet fruits, sweet spices, also sweet resins, and a little bit of leather that kind of comes across sweet. It's similar in a lot of ways to the EDT that came before this, Infrared Eau de Toilette, but for me, I would go Eau de Parfum. Smells a little bit higher quality overall, less synthetically sweet than the EDT. And even though they are quite similar in a lot of ways, I just think it's overall the superior fragrance for most people. And if you want something that has a good amount of spiciness with the sweetness, that's probably gonna be your best bet, or one of them. And last but not least, we'll go the Scent Magnetic. Another one that is vanilla forward. It's technically a black vanilla. There's also bran in here and manenka, which ties it in with the other fragrances in the line. So it's fruity sweet off the top, a touch dusty, semi-powdery, but that fades quickly, that kind of dusty aspect, and then really quickly, the vanilla becomes the prominent thing in the fragrance. Also smells a bit similar to the Scent Elixir that came out after this one. I will say the Scent Elixir is a little more powerful, so if you want extra push, go for that one. But the Scent Magnetic is a little cozier and maybe a little sexier overall, which is why I went with that one. My favorite this scent was Private Accord, which got discontinued. But that's neither here nor there at this point. I just wanted to point that out. Thanks a lot, Hugo boss. The Scent Magnetic though, really, really good at pulling positive attention. And it's another one that is not quite as popular as some of the other ones here. So if you want something that's being worn not quite as much, check that out. So there we go. 15 different fragrances, all of these very sweet. They approach it different ways, but if you're looking for a sweet scent that is a compliment puller, that is an attention grabber, then one of these here will absolutely do that for you. Thank you guys for hanging with me. Stay safe out there, and I'll see you tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.